Tell that black woman to clean the executive bathroom again. I can still smell cheap perfume in there. Richard Bancroft doesn't bother lowering his voice. The black housemaid scrubbing floors 10 feet away hears every word. Richard Bancroft, white billionaire, CEO of Bancroft Industries, $8.4 billion tech empire, has never learned to whisper around the help. Her name is Alicia Brooks, black, 29, 2 jobs, $23 in her account. He's never asked her name. Inside his 52 end-floor boardroom, 12 lawyers wait. The Shanghai deal, his legacy, sits unsigned on mahogany. His assistant, Victoria Sterling, sets down his coffee. $400 per pound, imported. He reaches for it. The door crashes open. "Shut up!" Alicia Brooks, the black housemaid from the hallway, shouts it across the room. At Richard Bancroft, at the white billionaire who just humiliated her. Security moves, lawyers freeze. This woman in a minimum wage uniform just screamed at one of America's richest men. And what she says next will save his life. 6 months earlier. The alarm screams at 4:30 a.m. Alicia Brooks silences it before it wakes Amara in the bed next to hers. Their studio apartment in the Bronx costs $1,400 a month, half her income from 2 jobs. The radiator clanks but produces no heat. Again. She kisses her daughter's forehead. Amara, 9 years old, sleeps in a winter coat because the landlord won't fix anything. In the bathroom, so small she has to turn sideways, Alicia brushes her teeth and stares at the mirror. 29 years old, certified nursing assistant degree gathering dust in a drawer because the hospital jobs require experience she can't get without working for free, which she can't afford to do. 2 years at a nursing home, 3 months of night shifts at Bancroft Tower. The math never works, but she does it anyway. The 5:15 bus to Manhattan smells like diesel and someone's morning coffee. Alicia counts stops, 12 until she transfers, and reviews her mental list. Amara's permission slip for the field trip, Mom's insulin prescription pickup on Saturday, the $340 she's still short this month after rent and food and everything else that people with money never think about. At 6 a.m., she clocks into Riverside Nursing Home. Mrs. Patterson in room 14 needs help with breakfast. Mr. Davis in room 22 is refusing his blood pressure medication again. She knows why. He told her 3 weeks ago that it makes him dizzy, but his daughter, who visits twice a year, insists the doctor knows best. Alicia checks the bottle when the supervisor isn't looking. Propranolol, 40 milligrams, blue oval pills. She's memorized 50 medications from watching, learning, caring. At 3:45 p.m., she clocks out. Buses to the Bronx. 40 minutes with Amara, homework, dinner, a hug that has to last 12 hours. Her mother arrives at 5:30 to stay overnight. 3 generations in 400 square feet. At 6 p.m., Alicia clocks into Bancroft Tower. The lobby is all marble and glass, the kind of building where the doorman earns more than she does. She takes the service elevator, staff aren't allowed in the main ones, to the janitorial office in the basement. Mr. Harrison, head of services, barely looks up. "Brooks, you're on 52 tonight, executive suites." "Yes, sir." "Rules are simple. Don't touch anything on the desks. Don't speak to anyone unless they speak first. Don't make eye contact. You're invisible up there. Keep it that way. The 52nd floor is a different planet. Ceiling-to-floor windows overlook Manhattan like a kingdom. The carpet is so thick her footsteps make no sound. Everything gleams. The glass, the chrome, the future. She starts in the conference room. Empties trash cans that contain crumpled paper worth more than her rent. Someone printed a 50-page contract and threw it away because of a typo. She wipes down the table where deals worth billions get signed. Through the glass wall, she sees him for the first time. Richard Bancroft. Even at midnight, he's at his desk, typing furiously. His office is the size of her entire apartment building's lobby. Art on the walls that she recognizes from Amara's library books, originals, not prints. A coffee maker that probably cost more than her car did before it died. He doesn't look up when she empties his trash, doesn't acknowledge her when she cleans the coffee station, doesn't see her at all. But Alicia sees everything. She sees the prescription bottle on his desk when she dusts around it. Propranolol, just like Mr. Davis takes. She sees his handwriting on documents, slightly shaky. She sees him massage his temples like he has a headache. She sees him work until 1 a.m., alone in a palace, surrounded by everything except people who care. Over the next weeks, patterns emerge. The coffee cup always has residue, bitter, chemical smell she can't place. The trash contains medical receipts, the pill bottle on his desk. Something about it bothers her. The label looks right, but when she glimpses inside one night while refilling his water, the pills look wrong, not blue, white. Her nursing home training kicks in like muscle memory. White round pills in a propranolol bottle. Someone switched his medication. At 2 a.m., Alicia clocks out. She takes the subway home, thinking. By the time she reaches her apartment, she's almost convinced herself she imagined it. Rich people have the best doctors. They don't make medication mistakes. But the thought won't leave her alone. Monday morning, Amara comes home from school with a yellow envelope. Field trip, Mom. The Science Museum. It's $80. $80 plus supplies, plus the permission slip that requires a packed lunch because the cafeteria won't be available, plus new shoes because Amara's have holes in them and the museum requires appropriate footwear. Alicia does the math on the back of an envelope while reheating leftovers for dinner. 2 jobs equal $2,843 per month. Rent, $1,400. Utilities, $340. Groceries, $450. Subway passes, $254. Her mother's insulin copay, $180. Total, $2,624 before the field trip, before emergencies, before life. She's $340 short. Again. Her phone rings. Mom. Alicia, honey, the landlord called. Says if I'm late again this month, he's starting eviction proceedings. Her mother lives in a rent-controlled apartment 10 blocks away. $680 a month. The only reason she can afford to live in the city at all. But her diabetes has gotten worse. More medications, more copays. The insulin alone costs $180, even with Medicare. How much do you need, Mom? $500. Her mother's voice cracks. I'm so sorry, baby. I know you're already. I'll figure it out. She always does. Which means another weekend shift at the nursing home, which means 4 hours of sleep instead of 5, which means she'll be running on coffee and willpower and the desperate mathematics of poverty. That night at Bancroft Tower, Alicia cleans with the weight of $840 sitting on her chest like a stone. She moves through the 52nd floor on autopilot. Trash, surfaces, vacuum. When she reaches Richard Bancroft's office at 11 p.m., he's still there, on a phone call. I don't care what the board thinks, he's saying. Fire whoever leaked it. Make an example. These people need to understand that loyalty isn't optional. He hangs up, pinches the bridge of his nose, reaches for his pill bottle. Alicia watches from the doorway, invisible, like always, as he dry swallows 2 pills. White pills. Wrong pills. His hands shake when he sets the bottle down. She should say something. Should tell him. But the words stick in her throat because people like Richard Bancroft don't listen to people like her. She's learned this lesson 1,000 times. When she tried to tell Mrs. Davis's daughter about the medication side effects, when she suggested a schedule change at the nursing home that would have helped the patients, when she applied for the hospital job and got a polite email saying they'd gone with someone more qualified. Besides, she tells herself, he probably knows. Rich people have doctors who actually return their calls, but that night when she's cleaning his private bathroom, she sees the pill bottle on the counter. The label is slightly crooked. She takes out her phone. This is crazy, this is paranoid, this will get her fired, and photographs it. Then she opens the bottle. White, round, imprint L544. At home, on the public library computer during her break the next day, she searches. L544 pill identification, Tylenol PM, acetaminophen and diphenhydramine, a sleep aid, not propranolol, not blood pressure medication. Someone replaced Richard Bancroft's heart medication with over-the-counter sleeping pills. For a moment, she sits frozen in the library chair. The implications cascade through her nursing training. Untreated hypertension, weeks of wrong medication building up in his system, the stress of his job, the sleep aids depressing his system further. He's a cardiac event waiting to happen. She should tell someone. Call? Who? The police? They'll laugh. His office? They'll fire her for inappropriate access to personal items. Richard himself? He'll have security throw her out before she finishes her second sentence. But that night, When she sees him slumped at his desk, disoriented, rubbing his chest like it hurts to breathe, when she has to steady him to the couch and get him water, and he barely remembers it the next morning, she knows. Someone is killing Richard Bancroft slowly, methodically, invisibly, and she's the only one who sees it. The question that keeps her awake during her 4 hours of sleep is simple. Why should she care? He's never once looked at her like she's human, never asked her name, called her that black woman like she's a problem to be solved, not a person to be seen. But then she thinks of Amara, of her mother, of every patient at Riverside who depends on her because she notices things others don't. She thinks, what if someone could have saved them but didn't? Alicia starts documenting everything. Wednesday night. Richard takes pills at 11:17 p.m., shaky hands, checks his phone, dismisses 3 calls, works until 1:30 a.m. Thursday night. Coffee prepared by Victoria Sterling, his assistant, tall, blonde, Yale MBA on the wall, the kind of woman who wears perfume that costs more than Alicia's grocery budget. Victoria has keys to Richard's office. She's one of 3 people with 24/7 access. Friday night. Alicia finds the coffee station. There's a small vial tucked behind the premium beans, almost invisible. She photographs it. Later at the library. Temazepam, a prescription sedative. The pattern emerges like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Monday through Friday. Richard drinks coffee prepared by Victoria, takes his medication from the bottle on his desk. Week by week, he's getting worse. The tremors, the confusion, the exhaustion he attributes to work stress. Alicia creates a timeline on the back of Amara's old school papers. Week 1, 4, Richard seems normal before Victoria started. Week 5, first mentions of headaches, Victoria's start date as assistant. Week 8, hand tremors begin. Week 11, disorientation, memory gaps, current, progressive symptoms, chronic poisoning, not acute. But who and why? She needs help. Someone who's been here longer, who knows the building's secrets. Daniel Cooper has worked janitorial at Bancroft Tower for 15 years. He's 53, grandfather of 4, and has a master's degree in literature that he can't use because he got laid off during the recession and never recovered. They share the 2 a.m. subway sometimes. "Daniel," she says carefully during their break, "has Mr. Bancroft always been forgetful?" Daniel looks up from his sandwich. "Funny you mention it. No. Sharp as a knife for years. But lately?" He shakes his head. "Started about 3 months ago, right around when that new assistant came in. Victoria Sterling, that's the one, came from Tech Vision, you know, Bancroft's biggest competitor. The COO, Brandon Taylor, hired her personally, which was weird because CEOs usually pick their own assistants. Red flag. Why would the chief operating officer hire the CEO's personal assistant?" "They close?" Alicia asks. "Victoria and Taylor? See them in private meetings all the time. Unusual for an assistant and COO to be that coordinated." The pieces start forming a picture, not a pretty one. That night, Alicia overhears part of a phone conversation. Victoria, in the break room, thinks she's alone. "Next Friday, the Shanghai deal signs. He'll take his evening dose before the flight, just like always. 14 hours in the air, no medical help available, cardiac event over the Pacific." Alicia's heart stops. Natural causes. Overworked CEO, everyone will believe it. And then Taylor takes over, just like we planned. Victoria hangs up, walks out, doesn't see the housemaid frozen behind the vending machine. Alicia's hands shake as she pulls out her phone, opens her notes app, types, "Friday, Shanghai. They're planning to kill him on the plane." She has 6 days. 6 days to convince a billionaire who thinks she's invisible that the people he trusts most are planning his murder. 6 days to prove that a black housemaid with $23 in her account and no credentials knows more than his $2,000 an hour lawyers. 6 days to decide if saving a man who's never once seen her as human is worth losing everything she has. The moral weight sits heavy. If she does nothing, Richard Bancroft dies. If she speaks up and no one believes her, she loses both jobs, maybe gets arrested for false accusations, and Amara's field trip and her mother's rent become impossible problems. But the image won't leave her head. Richard slumped at his desk, vulnerable, alone. She thinks of every patient at Riverside who trusted her to care when no one else would. She knows what she has to do. Monday morning, 5 days until Friday. Alicia tries the subtle approach first. She's refilling the coffee station when Richard arrives early, 7 a.m. instead of his usual 10. He reaches for his cup, the one Victoria prepared and left for him. Alicia's hand slips. The cup crashes to the floor. Brown liquid spreads across white marble. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, sir." She drops to her knees, cleaning frantically. "I'm so sorry." Richard's face tightens with annoyance. "It's fine, just get me another." "Right away, sir." She cleans it up, disappears to the break room, makes fresh coffee from the plain container, not Victoria's special blend, brings it back. He barely acknowledges her, just takes the cup and goes into his office. Small victory. One morning without the tainted coffee, but she can't accidentally spill his coffee every day for a week. Tuesday, 4 days left. Alicia writes a note, spends an hour on the wording trying to sound credible instead of crazy. "Mr. Bancroft, please have your medications independently tested. They may not be what the label indicates. This is not a joke. Your health is at risk." She leaves it on his desk at 2 a.m., weighted down by his stapler where he can't miss it. Wednesday morning, she arrives for her shift. Mr. Harrison calls her into his office before she can even clock in. "Brooks, did you leave any notes or papers on Mr. Bancroft's desk?" Her heart sinks. Yes, sir, I was concerned about..." Mr. Bancroft's assistant filed a complaint. Says someone is leaving inappropriate messages. "Was it you?" "Sir, I was trying to help. Your job is to clean, not to leave notes for executives. Consider this a warning. Next time, you're terminated. Understood?" "Yes, sir." Victoria intercepted it. Of course she did. She screens everything that reaches Richard's desk. Wednesday night, 3 days left. Alicia needs an ally, someone inside who can reach Richard directly. She finds Daniel Cooper on the 45th floor, restocking supplies. "Daniel, I need to tell you something, and I need you to believe me." She shows him everything. The photos, the timeline, the overheard conversation, the vial behind the coffee beans. Daniel stares at the evidence on her phone. His face goes pale. "Jesus Christ, you're serious." "As a heart attack, which is exactly what they're planning for him." "Why Friday?" "Shanghai deal. He signs it Friday morning, then gets on a 14-hour flight. They're timing it so he has a cardiac event in the air, no medical help, looks like natural causes. And then Brandon Taylor, the COO, takes over the company." Daniel sits down heavily on a supply crate. That's murder. Corporate murder. Which is why no one will believe me. I'm a housemaid with a phone full of pictures and a theory. They'll say I'm delusional or trying to extort money or just crazy. "What do you need?" "Information. You've been here 15 years. What do you know about Brandon Taylor and Victoria Sterling?" Daniel thinks. "Taylor's been COO for 3 years. Always opposed the Shanghai deal. Thought it was too risky. If Richard dies before signing, the deal defaults to a board vote, and Taylor controls enough board members to kill it. Then he could sell the company to Tech Vision, where Victoria used to work, for a massive personal payout." The motive clicks into place. Money. Always money. "Victoria came from Tech Vision 4 months ago. Taylor hired her specifically, overriding Richard's usual assistant hiring process. I thought it was strange at the time." "It wasn't strange," Alicia says. "It was planned. Thursday morning, 2 days left. Daniel does reconnaissance during his day shift, reports back via text. Private meeting between Taylor and Victoria, 20 minutes. Both look nervous. Overheard Taylor on phone. Friday evening, everything changes. Make sure nothing goes wrong." Richard looks terrible. Shaking, pale, took pills at his desk. Taylor was watching him do it. The trap is set. Richard is being poisoned with precision, and everyone around him is either in on it or too blind to see. Thursday night, 1 day left. Alicia arrives for her shift at 6 p.m. Mr. Harrison stops her immediately. "Brooks, my office, now!" Her stomach drops. Inside, Victoria Sterling is waiting, arms crossed, expression cold. "Miss Brooks?" Victoria's voice is silk over steel. "Items have been reported missing from the executive offices. A Mont Blanc pen from Mr. Taylor's desk. Confidential documents from the file room. You've been seen lingering near desks, taking photographs with your phone." "I haven't stolen anything." "Your locker will be searched, but regardless of what we find, the accusation alone is enough. You're suspended pending investigation. Please surrender your badge and leave the building." Alicia's hands shake. This is it. They're removing her before Friday, before she can interfere. "Mr. Harrison, please, I need to explain. Badge, now." She pulls her ID badge off, hands it over. The weight of failure crushes her chest. I need to speak to Mr. Bancroft, please. Just 5 minutes. Mr. Bancroft doesn't take meetings with janitorial staff, Victoria says, that same cold smile. Especially those suspected of theft. Security appears. Tom Brennan, head of security, a man she's seen a dozen times, always professional. His face is apologetic but firm. Miss Brooks, I need you to leave voluntarily, or I'll have to escort you out. Alicia looks past them through the glass walls to the boardroom where she can see Richard meeting with lawyers. Tomorrow's signing is being moved up to tonight. She can see the contracts, the Chinese investors on the video screen. They're accelerating the timeline. Please, she tries one more time. Mr. Bancroft is in danger, real danger. Someone is... Security, Victoria says calmly. She's becoming agitated. Please remove her from the building. Tom takes her elbow, gentle but unyielding. Come on, miss. Don't make this harder. Alicia's mind races as she's walked toward the elevator. Friday was supposed to be the deadline. But if they move the signing to tonight, if they're rushing it, then he's taking that coffee, those pills tonight. And the flight to Shanghai leaves in 6 hours. She doesn't have days. She has hours, maybe minutes. And she's being thrown out of the building with no way back in. The elevator doors close on Tom Brennan's apologetic face, on Victoria Sterling's satisfied smile, on Richard Bancroft, visible through the glass, completely unaware that he's signing his own death warrant. Alicia rides down 52 floors thinking, sometimes the only way to be heard is to make so much noise that ignoring you becomes impossible. Alicia stands on the sidewalk outside Bancroft Tower at 7 p.m. The building rises above her like a glass cathedral, untouchable. Her phone buzzes. Amara. Mom, when are you coming home? Grandma made pasta. She texts back, soon, baby, I love you. She thinks about walking away, going home to her daughter, her mother, the studio apartment with the broken radiator. Forgetting about Richard Bancroft and his poisoned coffee and his empire built on not seeing people like her. He wouldn't do it for her. He's never done anything for her, doesn't even know her name. But then she thinks about Mrs. Patterson in room 14 at Riverside, who told her last week, you have good eyes, sweetheart. You see things other people miss. Don't ever lose that. She thinks about Mr. Davis refusing his medication until Alicia explained the side effects in a way his daughter never bothered to. She thinks about every patient who trusted her to care when no one else would. And she thinks, if I walk away, I become exactly what Richard Bancroft thinks I am. Invisible, powerless. Not worth listening to. But if I try, if I force him to hear me, then maybe one time, in one moment, the person everyone overlooks becomes the person who changes everything. Her hands stop shaking. She looks up at the 52nd floor where lights still glow in the boardroom, where Richard Bancroft is probably reaching for his coffee right now, surrounded by lawyers who bill $2,000 an hour and see nothing. Alicia pulls out her phone, calls Daniel. Daniel, I need you to do something and you're going to think I'm insane. Too late for that, he says, but his voice is steady. What do you need? Pull the fire alarm on the 52nd floor in exactly 10 minutes. Silence. Alicia, I know, but it's the only way to get everyone out of that room before he drinks the coffee, before he takes those pills. It's the only way to make him listen. Another pause. Then, 10 minutes, starting now. Thank you. She hangs up, stares at the building, at the impossible thing she's about to do. Sometimes you have to break all the rules to save a life, even when that life belongs to someone who would never break a single rule to save yours. Alicia walks back into Bancroft Tower like she still belongs there. The evening security guard, Marcus, works weekends, 3 kids, always asks about Amara, looks up surprised. Miss Brooks, thought you got suspended. Left my phone upstairs. Mr. Harrison said I could grab it real quick. Marcus hesitates. She's counting on him being too busy to verify, too kind to question. Make it fast, he says. She takes the service elevator, heart hammering against her ribs. 8 minutes until Daniel pulls the alarm. She has to get to the 52nd floor, has to get into that boardroom before... The elevator doors open. Tom Brennan is standing there. Miss Brooks, his voice is firm. You're not authorized to be here. I know, but I need to... You need to leave, right now. Or I'm calling the actual police. His hand moves to his radio. 7 minutes. Tom, please. Mr. Bancroft is in danger. Real danger. I'm not crazy. I'm not stealing. I just need 5 minutes to... I've heard enough. He reaches for her arm. Alicia pulls back, desperate. Someone is poisoning him. His medication has been switched. His coffee is drugged, and if he gets on that plane tonight, he dies. Tom's expression doesn't change. Ma'am, you're experiencing some kind of episode. I'm going to have you escorted out, and I strongly suggest you seek help. The fire alarm explodes through the building. Strobe lights flash. The automated voice booms, "Emergency! Please evacuate immediately using the nearest stairwell!" Tom's radio erupts with chatter. "All units, we have an alarm on 52. Possible fire. Initiating evacuation protocol." In the chaos, Tom distracted, other security personnel rushing toward the stairs, Alicia runs. She knows these hallways. 6 months of night shifts, every corner memorized. She sprints toward the executive wing while everyone else flows toward the exits. Behind her, Tom's voice, "Stop! Security!" But she's faster, motivated, desperate. The boardroom is emptying, lawyers grabbing briefcases, investors disconnecting from video. Victoria Sterling is shepherding Richard toward the evacuation route, but he's arguing, "This is ridiculous. We're 5 minutes from signing." "Sir, fire safety protocol requires..." "There's no fire. It's a false alarm." They're being funneled toward the executive evacuation area, a secondary boardroom used for exactly these situations. Alicia sees them turning the corner. She has seconds. She bursts through the door. The room falls silent. Richard, Victoria, Brandon Taylor, 12 lawyers, and security all freeze. Victoria's face goes white, then red. "Security, this woman is trespassing!" But Richard holds up his hand. Something in Alicia's expression stops him. She's not angry, not manic. She's terrified. And she's staring at his coffee cup, the cup Victoria just set down in front of him, the pills she just laid out next to it. "Sir, you should take these before we resume. Stay ahead of your headache." "Mr. Bancroft," Alicia's voice shakes but holds. "Don't touch that." "Who the hell are you?" Brandon Taylor demands. "I'm nobody," Alicia says. "I'm the housemaid, the black woman you told to clean toilets, the person you've never looked at once." Richard's face shows recognition. Barely. "You clean my office. Every night for 6 months, and every night I've watched you get sicker, shakier, more confused, because someone has been poisoning you." The room erupts. Victoria. "This is insane." Brandon. "Security, remove her now." Lawyers shouting over each other. "Shut up!" Alicia's voice cuts through everything. She's shouting at Richard Bancroft, at the white billionaire, at the richest man in the room. Everyone freezes. "Mr. Bancroft," she says, quieter now. "You sign that paper, you're dead in 6 hours." Richard's pen, which was moving toward the contract, stops. "Your coffee has a bitter aftertaste you've been ignoring. Your pills are the wrong color. Propranolol is blue, those are white. Your tremors started exactly 11 weeks ago, the same week Victoria became your assistant." Victoria's smooth mask cracks. "Sir, this woman is clearly disturbed. She's been fired for theft, and now she's making wild accusations." "Shut up, Victoria," Richard says, eyes still on Alicia. "Keep talking." Alicia pulls out her phone with shaking hands. "These are photos of your pill bottle. The pills inside are Tylenol PM, acetaminophen, and diphenhydramine, not propranolol. Someone switched your blood pressure medication with sleeping pills." She swipes to the next photo. "This is the vial I found behind your coffee station. Temazepam, a sedative. It's being added to your coffee every morning." Another photo. "This is your timeline. Week 5, headaches start. Week 8, tremors. Week 11, disorientation. Progressive symptoms of chronic poisoning combined with untreated hypertension." Brandon moves toward her. "This is slander, sir. I'm calling our lawyers." "You're already here, Taylor," Richard says, voice cold, and everyone shut up until she finishes. Alicia meets his eyes. "Someone has been slowly poisoning you for 3 months. Your medication is wrong, your coffee is drugged, and tonight, when you take your evening dose before that 14-hour flight to Shanghai, you're going to have a massive cardiac event at 35,000 feet where there's no medical help. Natural causes, overworked CEO, no investigation." The silence is absolute. "After which," Alicia continues, voice steady now, "the Shanghai deal defaults to a board vote. Mr. Taylor, as COO, has the votes to cancel it. And then he sells Bancroft Industries to Tech Vision, where Victoria used to work, for a personal profit of approximately $3 billion. Brandon's face goes pale. Victoria takes a step back. That's insane, Victoria says, but her voice wavers. Sir, you can't possibly believe— Prove it, Richard says to Alicia. Right now, prove everything you just said. Alicia reaches into her pocket, pulls out the pill bottle she took from his desk tonight, the one she's carried with her since her suspension, knowing this moment would come. Test these pills right now. Call an independent lab, not the doctors Brandon recommended. Have them analyzed. She sets the bottle on the table. White pills rattle inside the orange prescription container. And test that coffee for temazepam while you're at it. Richard stares at the pill bottle, at the coffee, at Victoria's face, which has gone from confident to desperate, at Brandon, who's inching toward the door. Tom, Richard says to the head of security, no one leaves this room. Tom Brennan, who's just arrived at the doorway, steps inside and blocks the exit. Richard pulls out his phone. Dr. Sullivan, Richard Bancroft, I need an emergency medication analysis. Independent lab, not my usual. Can you be at Bancroft Tower in 20 minutes? He listens. Excellent. Bring a tox screen kit. I'll explain when you arrive. He hangs up, looks at Alicia, really looks at her maybe for the first time. What's your name? Alicia Brooks. Miss Brooks, he says carefully. If you're right, you saved my life. If you're wrong— He doesn't finish the sentence. I'm right, Alicia says. I'm a certified nursing assistant. I spent 2 years working with medications. I know what I saw. She's lying! Victoria's voice rises. Sir, she's been fired for theft. She's— Victoria, Richard says quietly. Why are you so desperate for me to drink that coffee? Victoria's mouth opens, closes. No answer comes. Brandon tries one more time. Richard, this is absurd. You can't seriously believe a housemaid over my own what, Brandon? My own assistant who you hired without consulting me? My own COO who's opposed this Shanghai deal from day one? The dominoes are falling. Richard looks at the coffee cup, at the pills, at the contract that would have been his legacy, and then at Alicia Brooks, the black housemaid who just crashed his empire to save his life. Dr. Sullivan arrives in 18 minutes, Richard says. Until then, nobody moves, nobody leaves, and somebody better start telling me the truth. Dr. Sullivan arrives in 15 minutes with a portable tox screen kit. She's in her 60s, gray hair pulled back, no-nonsense expression. Richard's known her since medical school, the one doctor he trusts who doesn't take money from pharmaceutical companies. Richard, what's the emergency? He hands her the pill bottle. Tell me what's inside this. Dr. Sullivan opens it, examines the pills under a magnifying lens. Her face changes. These aren't propranolol. She looks up, alarmed. Where did you get these? From my desk, where I've been taking them twice daily for 3 months. Richard, Dr. Sullivan's voice is grim. These are acetaminophen diphenhydramine, Tylenol PM. If you've been taking these instead of your blood pressure medication, how bad? 11 weeks of untreated hypertension combined with sedative effects? You're a stroke waiting to happen. Or cardiac arrest, especially under stress, especially at altitude. The room goes silent. Dr. Sullivan pulls out her kit. I'm running a full panel, blood work, tox screen, everything. While she draws blood, Richard's eyes move from Victoria to Brandon. Both are pale, sweating. Victoria tries once more. Sir, this is a misunderstanding. Perhaps the pharmacy made an error. The pharmacy delivers pills in sealed bottles, Dr. Sullivan interrupts. These were switched after delivery. Someone had direct access to your medication. Who has keys to your office? Dr. Sullivan asks. Victoria, Richard says quietly. Brandon and Tom for security. Tom steps forward. Sir, I've never touched anything on your desk. That's not my protocol. I believe you. Richard turns to Victoria. But you prepare my coffee every morning. You have access to my desk. You've been in my office every single day for 11 weeks. Victoria's mask finally cracks. This is ridiculous. Why would I— Money, Alicia says quietly from her corner. Everyone had almost forgotten she was there. The Shanghai deal. If Mr. Bancroft dies before signing, the deal defaults to a board vote. Mr. Taylor controls enough votes to kill it. Then he sells the company to Tech Vision, where you used to work, for billions. Brandon lunges toward the door. Tom blocks him. Sit down, Brandon. Richard's voice is ice. I want my lawyer, Brandon says. You'll get one, from a prison phone. Richard pulls out his phone again. Tom, call the police. Tell them we have attempted murder and corporate conspiracy. Victoria breaks. Not dramatically. Just a slow collapse, like air leaving a balloon. "He said it would be painless," she whispers. "Brandon said, he said you'd just fall asleep on the plane, that it would look natural, that no one would know." The confession hangs in the air. "How much did he pay you?" Richard asks. $50 million, after the sale went through." Victoria laughs, bitter. "I did it for $50 million and a man who's going to blame everything on me." Brandon goes white. "Shut up, Victoria." "Why should I?" She turns to him, eyes blazing. "You promised we'd be together after this, that we'd disappear to the Caymans with our share. But you were going to kill me too, weren't you? After I wasn't useful anymore?" Brandon says nothing. The silence is confirmation. Police sirens wail in the distance, getting closer. "Doctor," Sullivan finishes the talk screen. "Temazepam in your system. Recent dose, probably from this morning's coffee. Combined with the wrong heart medication, the lack of sleep, the stress." She shakes her head. "Richard, if you'd gotten on that plane, you wouldn't have survived the first 6 hours. The cabin pressure alone would have triggered a cardiac event." Richard sits down heavily. For the first time, the magnitude hits him. He came within hours, maybe minutes of death. Planned, calculated, methodical death. He looks at Alicia, still standing by the wall, exhausted and terrified. "You saved my life." "I tried to tell you," she says quietly. "I left a note. I tried to warn you." "Victoria intercepted it," Richard says, the pieces fitting together. "She made sure nothing reached me. She filed a complaint to get you fired." "She had me suspended this afternoon," Alicia confirms. "I wasn't supposed to be in the building tonight, but I couldn't just let you die." "Why?" Richard asks. It's not rhetorical. He genuinely doesn't understand. I don't even know you. Why risk everything for me?" Alicia meets his eyes. "Because I'm a nurse, and nurses don't get to choose which lives matter. We save the ones we can save, even when those people would never save us back." The words land like stones. Police arrive. Handcuffs click onto Victoria's wrists, then Brandon's. Victoria is still talking, confessing, trying to negotiate. Brandon has gone silent, calculating his legal defense already. The Chinese investors have long since disconnected from the video call. The lawyers are calling their firms. The contract sits unsigned on the table. Richard Bancroft, one of the richest men in America, sits in his boardroom and realizes something he's never understood before. He's been surrounded by people his entire life, assistants, lawyers, executives, advisors, and not one of them saw what the Black Housemaid saw. Not one of them cared enough to look. The police detective, Lieutenant Sarah Morrison, takes statements until 3 a.m. Victoria confesses to everything. The switched pills, the drugged coffee, the timeline planned around the Shanghai flight. Brandon stays silent, lawyer already en route. But Victoria's confession includes bank records, offshore accounts in the Caymans, encrypted emails detailing the plan, text messages between her and Brandon discussing dosages, timing, how to make it look natural. "We weren't trying to hurt him," Victoria says, as if poisoning someone slowly over 3 months is somehow gentle. "Brandon said it would be painless, like falling asleep." "Murder is murder," Morrison says flatly. "Doesn't matter how comfortable you tried to make it. The evidence is overwhelming. Premeditated, conspiracy, corporate fraud, attempted murder in the first degree. By 4 a.m., both Victoria and Brandon are arrested. The news breaks by 5 a.m. Breaking. Tech billionaire Richard Bancroft survives assassination plot by COO and assistant. By 6 a.m., Alicia's face is on every news channel. Hero housemaid saves billionaire's life after noticing poisoning. She watches it on her phone from the police station where she's giving her official statement. The headline makes her want to cry. Hero housemaid. Like her job defines her worth. Like she's only notable because she saved someone important. But then the notifications start flooding in. Comments, messages, thousands of them. This woman has a nursing degree and works 2 jobs just to survive. The system failed her long before she saved him. She risked her career to save a man who didn't even know her name. That's not just heroism, that's grace. Where's her GoFundMe? She deserves more than a pat on the back. Someone starts a fund. By 8 a.m., it's raised $50,000. By noon, $200,000. People are angry at Victoria and Brandon, yes, but also at the system that forced Alicia to work 2 jobs, that made her invisible, that required her to risk everything just to be heard. Alicia sits in the police station break room, overwhelmed. Her phone won't stop buzzing. Amara has called 6 times. Her mother saw the news and is frantic. The nursing home called asking if she's okay. Even Riverside's director called to say her job is waiting whenever she's ready. Lieutenant Morrison brings her coffee, real coffee, not the station sludge. "You did good," Morrison says. "Not many people would have pushed that hard." "I didn't have a choice," Alicia says. "Everyone has a choice. You chose right." At 2 p.m., Alicia is finally cleared to leave. She walks out of the police station into a wall of cameras and reporters. "Miss Brooks, how did you know? Were you scared? What did Richard Bancroft say to you? Is it true you were suspended before you saved his life?" She freezes, terrified. But then she sees Daniel Cooper in the crowd, pushing through. He takes her arm, shields her from the cameras, gets her into a cab. "Your place or mine?" he asks. "Mine. I need to see Amara." The studio apartment has never looked smaller. Amara tackles her the second she walks in, crying and laughing and yelling at her for being on TV without warning. "Mom, you're famous! Mrs. Davis from 4C said you're a hero." "I'm not a hero, baby. I just did what needed doing." Her mother is there too, crying, hugging her so tight Alicia can't breathe. "My baby girl. My smart, brave baby girl." That night, Alicia can't sleep. She keeps replaying it. The boardroom, the shouting, Richard's face when he understood she was telling the truth. The moment when being invisible became the only reason she could see everything. At 11 p.m., her phone rings. Unknown number. "Miss Brooks? This is Richard Bancroft." Her heart stops. "Mr. Bancroft, hi. I'm at St. Catherine's Hospital. Observation, doctor's orders. They're running more tests, but Dr. Sullivan says I'm going to be fine, thanks to you." "I'm glad," she says, and means it. "I wanted to apologize." His voice is different, softer, for how I treated you, for never asking your name, for saying... He can't finish. "It's okay," she says, even though it's not. "It's not okay. I built an empire by convincing myself that people like me deserve success and people like you don't. That our value is measured in dollars and degrees and offices on the 52nd floor." "Mr. Bancroft, I was wrong." The words sound like they hurt to say. Real power isn't controlling empires, it's seeing the people who hold them up. You cleaned my office for 6 months. You saw everything, and I never saw you at all until you saved my life. Alicia's throat tightens. "The news is calling you a hero," Richard continues, "but they're wrong. You're not a hero because you saved me. You're a hero because you cared enough to try, even when everyone told you you didn't matter, even when I told you that." "What happens now?" she asks quietly. "Now?" Richard's voice changes, becomes stronger. "Now you tell me what you want. Not what you need, what you want. Because you're not getting charity, Miss Brooks. You're getting what you've earned." "I want to finish my nursing degree," she says immediately. "I want to work in a hospital where I can use everything I know. I want Amara to never worry about field trip money. I want my mom to get her insulin without choosing between medicine and rent." "Done," Richard says. "Columbia University nursing program, full scholarship, stipend for living expenses. When you graduate, a position at St. Catherine's Hospital. Dr. Sullivan specifically requested you. Your mother's medical expenses covered. Amara's education funded through college." Alicia can't breathe. "And one more thing," Richard adds. "I'm creating a program at Bancroft Industries, the Alicia Brooks Employee Advocacy Program. Any employee, janitor, assistant, anyone can anonymously report concerns about leadership, health, safety, anything. Independent oversight, no retaliation. Because you were right, Miss Brooks. The people closest to the problems are usually the ones everyone ignores. Mr. Bancroft, I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. Say you'll finish that degree. Say you'll become the nurse you were meant to be before poverty forced you to choose survival over dreams." Alicia wipes her eyes. "I accept. Good. My lawyers will contact you tomorrow about the details. And Miss Brooks?" "Yes?" "Thank you. For seeing me when I refused to see you. For caring when I didn't deserve it. For being braver than anyone in that boardroom." After he hangs up, Alicia sits in her tiny apartment, the one she'll be leaving soon, moving to something bigger, better, safer, and cries. Not from relief, not from joy, but from the weight of finally being seen. The next morning, the news coverage shifts. It's no longer just about the assassination plot. It's about Alicia's story, the nursing degree she couldn't finish, The 2 jobs, the impossible math of poverty, the system that makes people invisible right up until the moment their invisibility becomes their superpower. Brandon Taylor and Victoria Sterling are denied bail. The evidence is too strong, the crime too calculated. Their trial is set for 6 months from now. Legal experts say they're facing 12, 15 years minimum. The GoFundMe hits $400,000. Alicia donates most of it to Riverside Nursing Home's staff fund and to a scholarship program for healthcare workers from low-income backgrounds. 3 days after the arrest, Richard Bancroft holds a press conference. He announces the restructuring of Bancroft Industries, employee wellness programs, living wages for all service staff, the advocacy program named after Alicia. "I built this company by believing that success meant controlling everything," he tells the cameras. "But I was dying in a room full of people, and the only person who saw it was the one I'd trained myself not to see. That changes now." The video goes viral, not because of the policy changes, but because of what he says at the end. "Miss Alicia Brooks has a nursing degree and works 2 jobs to survive. She noticed things my $2.000 an hour doctors missed. She risked her career to save a man who treated her like she didn't exist. If that doesn't prove that we're measuring human value by all the wrong metrics, I don't know what does." 3 months later, Alicia walks through the Columbia University campus wearing scrubs and a student ID badge that reads, "Brooks, Alicia, Nursing Program, Class of 2026. Her pharmacology textbook weighs 5 pounds. Her backpack contains notes on drug interactions, dosage calculations, patient assessment protocols. It's the most beautiful weight she's ever carried. She still works part-time at Riverside Nursing Home, not because she has to, but because she wants to." Mrs. Patterson asks about her classes. Mr. Davis shows everyone the news article about his nurse who saved a billionaire. They're proud of her in a way that makes her chest ache. Amara is thriving. New school, art classes, a bedroom of her own in their 2-bedroom apartment in a building with a working radiator and a doorman who knows their names. She wants to be a marine biologist now, maybe an engineer, maybe both. The world feels possible in a way it didn't 3 months ago. Alicia's mother comes over for Sunday dinner, brings groceries that she can actually afford now, talks about the garden she's starting on the apartment balcony. Her diabetes is controlled. Her prescriptions are filled on time. She smiles more. On Monday, Alicia gets a text from Richard. Coffee? The diner on Amsterdam, not a boardroom. She meets him there at 2 p.m. He looks healthier, better color, steady hands, clear eyes. He's wearing jeans and a sweater instead of a suit. Almost normal. "How's school?" he asks. "Kicking my ass," she says honestly. "Pharmacology is brutal, but I love it. Good." He pushes an envelope across the table. Early graduation present. Inside, a letter from St. Catherine's Hospital offering her a position in their cardiac unit upon graduation. Competitive salary, full benefits, signing bonus. "Dr. Sullivan specifically requested you," Richard says. "Said anyone who can spot chronic poisoning from coffee stains and wrong pill colors is exactly the kind of nurse she wants on her team." Alicia stares at the letter, vision blurring. "Also," Richard adds, "the advocacy program had its first successful case last week. Warehouse worker noticed safety violations everyone else ignored. We fixed it, thanked him publicly, gave him a raise. The culture is changing. Slowly, but it's changing. Because of you," Alicia says. "Because of us," Richard corrects. "You showed me what I couldn't see. I'm just making sure it becomes policy instead of accident." They talk for an hour. About her classes, his physical therapy, Amara's science fair project, the ongoing trial. It's easy, comfortable. 2 people who've seen each other at their worst and somehow came out better. When Alicia leaves the diner, she walks past Bancroft Tower, sees the building where she used to be invisible, where she scrubbed floors and emptied trash and counted down the minutes until 2 a.m. Now, when she looks up at the 52nd floor, she doesn't see a place that made her small. She sees the place where she refused to be silent, where she shouted "shut up" at a billionaire and meant it, where being invisible became the exact reason she could see everything that mattered. Have you ever noticed something important that others missed? Have you ever spoken up when it was risky? Share your story in the comments below. Kindness, fairness, opportunity. It starts with seeing each other. If this story moved you, Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Thank you for watching.